Spency boy still awake, he's gotta shine this year. What's up, my dudes? We got a little bit of Deegan drama. Seems like there's some Deegan drama like every other weekend now. Gotta give a shout out to Hayden Deegan for at least keeping this shit interesting, okay? So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the whipping the bike over every big jump for absolutely no reason. Big fan of it, dog. You know, dragging the handlebars in the corners. Love it, dude. Like, I like what Hayden Deegan's doing, okay? I'm down for it. But what I'm not down for is whenever it's rubbing is racing, no big deal. When it all works out in your favor, when it's against your own teammate, but all of a sudden, when Joe Shimoda, a guy that's not even on your team, barely might not have even thought about maybe hitting you a little bit in a corner, the last corner before the finish in a heat race, now all of a sudden you got a problem with it. Now all of a sudden you're raising your hand up, and I don't even know what exact gesture you made to Joe Shimoda, but you were obviously upset. You were obviously raising the hand over the finish line in that heat race. That's called being hypocritical. That's exactly what that is. Okay, I don't care how much of a Deegan fanboy fan you are. I'm a Deegan fan, for God's sakes. I like the kid. He's going fast. He's doing some crazy stuff on the bike. I love his dad, you know. I like Brian Deegan. He's a pillar of freestyle. I just got done watching the Bloodline or whatever it is again, dude. Dude was sick back in them days, okay? And I want nothing more than Hayden Deegan to go out there and do something big in Supercross. But, like, I feel like there's a major problem with, you know, a lot of Deegan fanboys out there. They just can't see Deegan doing anything negative. Like, it's impossible for him to ever do something wrong, right? But in this particular case, it's right in front of you, okay? So I didn't even end up making a video on the whole Deegan and Jordan Smith getting into it in the heat race and that last race that they had, right? I mean, you know, it is what it is. Everything with Hayden Deegan, it's like there's two sides to it, you know? Like, yeah, that was probably too much for running into a teammate in a heat race and all that kind of stuff. Jordan Smith was obviously faster. Deegan obviously made the mistake, and then he was just basically playing cat and mouse for no reason, and then still didn't even win the heat race. He cost himself the heat race and, you know, basically caused his teammate to go off the track, right? But also on the flip side, Deegan is still a kid, so, you know, you do have to give a little bit of leeway for that, because, like, I know if I was out there 17 years old, I probably wouldn't be the most perfect little thing either. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no telling what I'd do. It's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of first time, first situations, you know, type stuff going on. But my whole thing with him and Jordan Smith's situation, like, okay, if you want to, you know, go back to Rubbings Racing and you want to be that guy, like, you want to really race people hard, that's cool. I have no problem with that. Like, if you want to be like a Justin Barcia or a whatever kind of rider that's, you know, wants to really get in there and bar bang and really get aggressive, like a Jason Anderson or whatever, that's cool and all. But one thing you certainly cannot do ever again is complain or even get upset when somebody else does the same thing to you. That's the whole point right here. Like, Deegan literally just did that. Even worse. Bro, he's throwing up the hand in the game right now. Oh my God, this shit is... it's too real, baby. It's too real. Oh, bro. But that's what I'm saying. It's like Deegan just went through all of that with Jordan Smith and making all those statements about, bro, I don't even know what happened. Like, just racing my teammate hard and all those kind of things. That wasn't even on the last lap of a heat race, and it was his own teammate. And he made a mistake, which allowed Jordan Smith to even catch up to him in the first place. Then he wants to start looking back and doing all that kind of crap. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's okay, honestly. Like, I don't have the biggest problem with that, but you certainly can't come out in the very next race. Bro, these tough blocks are savage. You certainly can't come out in your very next race and then get mad at Joe Shimoda, dude that's not even been racing Supercross this whole time. Dude's just trying to go out there and, like, get it in the main event, you know what I mean? But, like, and I even think Hayden Deegan made a mistake in that corner before the finish line, the one where Joe Shimoda kind of ran into the back of him a little bit. Like, dude, Deegan, you do realize that you are making mistakes and allowing these certain individuals to catch up to you. It's not like they're just randomly, like, for no reason catching up to you and then running into you. Like, you are making mistakes. You did crash in your heat race. You know? You did that, bro. Like, yeah, you're going out there and having flashes of brilliance and pulling hole shots and doing all kinds of shit, but you're also crashing a shitload. So, it's like, yeah, you might put yourself in a situation where somebody like Joe Shimoda has an opportunity to potentially run it in on you in the last corner. There was absolutely no reason to be raising your hand up or making any kind of gesture towards Joe Shimoda after what you did with Jordan Smith. You just can't do that, man. That's like, it's kind of like starting to put off that vibe like you think you're entitled or you think you're like a Hunter Lawrence already, and oh my God, why would somebody like Joe Shimoda try to think he can run it in on somebody like me? I'm way faster than you, bro. That I'm just telling you, that's the kind of vibe that you're putting off. So you got to be careful doing that. I understand you're young, you're a teenager, you're in this thing, and you got to earn your place in Supercross. It's not easy. You got to stand your ground. I know there's all these other elements going on. Like, I get it. You're not wanting to look weak or whatever, but like that right there was it was just in really poor taste doing it right after you just acted like Rubbing was racing with your own freaking teammate in a heat race. You can't turn around in the very next race and get all mad when some dude barely even runs into you. You know what I'm saying? You can't start turning around and making gestures and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you actually raised a finger to Joe Shimoda. I haven't really went back and looked that close at it. I think I saw some stuff on Twitter about that, but I don't know exactly what he did. But basically just he did some sort of gesture. Like, basically, I know for a fact he raised his hand like, kind of like, what are you doing, bro? Like, it was obviously I'm pissed off at that move you just tried to make on me, which Joe Shimoda, if you go back and watch it, he barely even ran into the back of Hayden Deegan in that super flat corner. It was, like, real easy to do that to begin with, but, like, I don't know. It's just such... I don't care how much of a Deegan... Bro, I'm pushing bikes out here. I don't know how much of a Deegan fanboy you are. You got to admit, that is hypocritical. You got to admit that is, like... throwing stones from a glass house, whatever kind of little thing you want to use for that. That's exactly what that is. Can't take what you dish out. I'm just saying, Hayden Deegan, you want to be real careful with that because, it's all fine and dandy when the particular, aggressive moment happens to go in your favor. But when it's like you don't think it's going in your favor, you're probably frustrated because you pulled that hole shot and then you crashed in the heat race. You're probably already frustrated from that because you have had a record of, it's damn near like Hayden Deegan's either crashing in qualifying, the heat race, or the main event in most of the Supercross races that he's raced so far. He has hit the deck a lot. Especially if you go back to his first pro motocross race and then to his, future Supercross. There is a lot of crashes here There's just no, like, doubt about that. There's no question about that. I'm not just trying to, like, make that up. Like, yeah, he's had flashes of brilliance. Yeah, he's had his wicked-ass fast moments. But I don't think the crashing has necessarily caught up to him yet. I think he'll have a big one. He got lucky on his heat race crash at Atlanta. You know, he kind of scrubbed and then somehow rolled out of it pretty good. But I don't think he's had his biggest crash yet. I don't think he's had his biggest injury yet. Unfortunately, that's just how pro Supercross is. So I'm just, you know, it just seems like when these amateurs come into this shit and they're wicked fast, it never fails. They also have that crash coin too. You know, they also have that flip of the coin, like any round they could go out there and absolutely wad their shit up, kind of like Thrasher did, and you saw the injuries that he got. You know, Hayden Deegan's crash could have so easily been that same, like, injury as what, I don't know why I keep jumping over here, dude, as what Nate Thrasher did, but nonetheless, like, come on, man. It just seems weird to get upset about that move that Joe Shimoda made. You know, like I say, I wasn't even super upset about the going back and forth with Jordan Smith. I mean, yeah, it was bizarre because it was your teammate, but I totally get all the, you know, you're just out there racing, you're trying to fight for a heat race win. Like, I get it. I really wasn't so mad about Deegan's initial, you know, kind of playing a little bit. It was kind of bizarre him looking back as much as he did. That was the only thing I had a slight problem with. Like, it's one thing if you're in a main event and you're battling with somebody and it's like the last 5 laps and you're in a real good battle with somebody or something like that. That's one thing, but and I'm all about Rubbings Racing as long as you don't complain when somebody tries to do the same thing back to you. That's just like part of it. That's part of what comes with it. That's part of what comes with that territory. Like, Barsha can never say anything about anybody ever doing any kind of dirty, too aggressive move on him from his history books and in his past. That's just what starts to happen when you become that guy. Bro, I can't land on the track right here. That's just what starts to happen when you start becoming that guy. That's exactly why you got to be careful about doing stuff like you did to Jordan Smith. That's why you got to, you know, you don't have to have race etiquette. That's cool and all. You can be a savage, but then other people are going to start giving it back to you, and you don't have any room to complain about it. You don't have any room to talk about it. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying about this right here. But I get it, you know. Deegan's a teenager. We get riled up and shit at that age, and we don't really give a fuck about anything.